Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. Join me this afternoon is some nice folks from the finance department of Fitchburg. It's Misty and Becky. How are you ladies doing today?
We're doing great. How are you, Jeremy?
I'm doing wonderful. Becky, welcome to the show, first timer. Glad to have you on. High five.
Thank you.
Thanks for making it out.
Yes.
We're glad to have you here. And we have you here for a very important reason. We're talking about the 2018 annual property tax information. It's already here.
Yep, so they were mailed yesterday and should hopefully be hitting mailboxes either Saturday or Monday.
All right. Well, we'll be on the lookout for that. But what you want to be on the lookout for is this information we're going to share with you. And one of the pieces that comes with your property tax bill is this nice handout that you guys have put together that kind of explains some of the frequently asked questions so that when you come here, you're just in and out, right?
We just want to make sure the information is available. Yep, and it's also available on the website too. So if people either get their tax bill from Access Dane instead, or if they get it sent to them some other way, the insert is also available online.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and it's beautiful. You guys have done a really nice job here with it as usual. So we're going to go right down here. We thought we would break it down, hear it from you guys, and it starts off with, how can I pay my taxes? The easiest question. Hit it home.
Yes, so most people, I would say, pay their property taxes through escrow. And if that's the case, the big thing to keep in mind is to check who that escrow check is made out to. If it's made out to the city of Fitchburg and to the property owner, we're going to need to make sure that property owner is signing the back of it and endorsing it over. Because if it's not, you'll have to come and make another trip in order to come inside that check, which is
That's good to know.
inconvenient. So
Yes.
we'd hate for them to
But that's a
have to go
really
through that.
very important point there.
Yeah, the other thing I'll bring up real quick in this section is because escrow checks, every once in a while will overpay what the actual property tax bill is, depending on the arrangement with the bank. So there may be a refund that would be issued. And if that's the case, it usually takes about 2 to 3 weeks before that refund check is issued. We get through the entire settlement process with the county before we start processing those refunds. Also gives us a chance to make sure that the checks clear the bank and that it was posted correctly and all of that stuff. So it does take a little while to get that back if there is an overpayment. So the other option, if somebody didn't want to wait for us to issue that refund within 2 to 3 weeks, most banks, if you call them, would be willing to reissue the check for the exact amount of the tax bill.
Yeah. Whatever works for you, right?
Yep.
If you are going to make your payments here, you're not escrowing, you're going to come and write the check. You guys take checks, obviously.
Absolutely.
But the credit card one is the one I would point out.
Yeah, so we do accept credit cards because some people are really interested in that option. I'll remind people that there is a processing fee for that. It's a convenience fee. It's right around 3%, but when you pay online with your credit card, it will tell you what that exact fee will be before you actually confirm it. But credit card payments are only allowed on the website. You cannot come to the counter and pay by credit card. It'd be just through that third-party processor.
So keep that in mind that if you're coming down here to City Hall and you're going to make that payment, it's got to be by check.
Yeah, the other one thing I'd like to point out too on the credit card payments, so under state statute, we have to have the cash in our hands by the due date. And there's always a 2 to 3 day delay between when you make that online credit card payment online and when the cash actually hits our bank account. So we shut down those credit card payments 3 days prior to the due date. So if you're cutting it close and you really want to make sure you get your taxes paid on time, which is always a good thing, it's best to come into City Hall or mail a check.
Isn't the go saying here, pay early, pay often?
I wouldn't recommend that, but if people are interested, we will make sure it gets applied appropriately.
Fantastic. All right. Next easy question here is, where do I pay my taxes?
So Becky's smiling face is definitely one option. So this is her first year. She'll be at the counter a lot along with Devin, who is an LTE person that's going to help us collect this year. So one of the two of them will be at the counter if they want to come in. So you come in that same reception door where you go see the clerks, and you just take a quick right, and there's 2 extra spots with computers where we take just tax collection.
Guess what? We have some really good signage here in the city. So when you come in, you'll be able to find it right away. And as we always suggest when you come down here, have your stuff in order when you get here because there will be a little bit of a line some days depending on the day. So it's just better to have all that ready to go. What if we're closed and you come down here? What can we do?
Yeah, so we are closed on weekends, and then as far as the holidays, we're closed on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and then New Year's Eve, December 31st, a lot of people want to pay their property taxes the last day of the year for income tax purposes. City Hall is only open till noon that day, though. But we do have a drop box in the foyer, so that is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You're welcome to come in and put your checks in there. We don't recommend cash.
I was just going to say that. I see right on here, cash payments on the Dropbox are not recommended.
Exactly. It's just not good for anybody to put cash that's unattended. And then for whether payments are made on December 31st or January 31st, which is the due date, anything that's in that drop box the next morning, we will post back to the previous day. So even if you come at 11:59, when it's there on the morning of the 1st, we will make sure to post it as though it's timely.
Fantastic. Well, if they have any questions, certainly, and they go to the website, I'm going to put this up right here so you can see how you can find this. You've got all the information related to the tax piece here on the website, including the lottery credit and some breaks down. But that learning about it right here is the City of Fitchburg Tax Insert 2018 information. We have it there available for you. And again, if you have any questions, certainly
give us a call.
Give us a call.
Stop in.
270 what is that, 4200 now?
You know what? I don't know. What is your number, Becky?
4270.
4270.
Don't call her. We'll call you. No, just kidding. All right, perfect. Well, that's the time we have for you today, and we're going to have you back on for another segment because we want to learn about the actual tax bill. What does it mean?
Excellent.
And you have some good news.
We do.
Maybe
Sure.
She doesn't even know. Well, I think we have good news. So anyway. All right, we'll take a very quick break. We'll be right back with the Finance Department talking about your property tax bill next right here on Talking Fitchburg. Welcome back into Talking Fitchburg. We're continuing our talk about your 2018 property taxes. Becky and Misty are back here for another segment. It's the only time of year we can get you on for 2 segments. So glad to have you on board here.
Lots of information to share.
All right, and yeah, we're moving on to the actual tax bill. What does it look like? And let's break down some of these sections here. So what do you want to look at first, Misty?
Yeah, so if we could put up the example tax bill that I
Fantastic.
provided, you'll see I, of course, redacted all of the personal information, but this is an actual tax bill. So what everybody receives will basically look the exact same, just with some different numbers on it. So if you don't mind me just jumping in, so we have some numbers up here, so I'll kind of go through the things. So number 1, which is the top right corner where it has your bill number, that is actually a very important number, especially if you choose to pay using online bill pay. We very much so don't recommend it because we have had numerous problems with that in the past, with things getting applied to the wrong place or to the check getting lost in translation somewhere and it not coming as expected by the property owner. So we really highly recommend not using online bill pay and instead using an actual check or an escrow check. But one of the big problems that we have is that bill number, and that bill number is what you have to put in the memo line for those on-payment checks, but it changes every year. So it's not something that you want to just use
Gotcha.
the same payment as what you did last year. And we've run into quite a few problems. And while it always works out, it takes a lot of stress for both the property owner and for us to make sure that we get it right.
Fantastic. So don't do that.
So don't do that. And then on your check too, if you could, putting that bill number on the memo line is very helpful. Again, just for us to help make sure that we're applying it to the right payment.
If you are doing an escrow, can you call that bank and say, hey, here's my number, or will they usually apply that to their? Or?
So escrow checks usually use the parcel ID, which is something that stays the same year after year, so you don't have to worry as much. It's just if you use that bill number instead.
Fantastic. All right, what else do we got here? Point out some of the goodies.
Yeah, so then kind of where the numbers start, that first line of the box, the assessed value. So how property tax bills work is we take all of the budgets from all of the overlying jurisdictions, the city being one of them, and we allocate it across all of the properties. And how it's allocated is based on that assessed value. So you'll see in this example, the assessed value of this home is the $376,400. And then that's the value that's actually used to calculate the tax bill. So in order to get to that, the number 3, the average assessment ratio, that 98.2%, that is the estimate between what the assessed value is and what the fair market would be according to the Department of Revenue. So that number, 2 times 3, is how you get to number 4 there, which is the estimated fair market. So a lot of people get confused. They think that the estimated fair market value is similar to an appraisal, or if you listed your house today, is that exactly what it would be? And it's not. It should be kind of in the ballpark, but it's really just a function of math and citywide ratios. So then in box number 5, which is the top right corner of all of the boxes, there's that net assessed value tax rate. So again, this is all of the overlying jurisdictions, not just the city. The tax rate works out to $23 $8.21 basically per $1,000 of assessed value. So in order to get to where it says 2 times 5 over here with the $8,736, you would take your assessed value, divide it by 1,000 times the $23.21, and that's how you would get to what that tax amount is. The other thing I'll point out is all of the overlying jurisdictions are all included in here. You'll see the city portion is about a third. So I know that gets to be confusing for some people too. They think that since they pay the taxes at the city of Fitchburg, at City Hall, that it means that entire tax bill goes towards city purposes. And that's not accurate. It's more about a third. The biggest piece of the tax bill generally would go to the school districts instead.
And we have 3 school districts, and if you didn't know, you're going to find out because they'll be listed right there on your bill. So
exactly.
Keep that in mind as you pick that up.
Yeah. Another thing that came up last year is the state of Wisconsin is listed on there as 0. So as of last year, the state of Wisconsin no longer collects any of their budget through property taxes. So yes, that is 0, and yes, that is correct. It's not something that's an error. A couple other things I'd like to point out, if I may, just keep on trucking.
You just keep on going. I have nothing to say here, but let you just go.
Excellent. So 7 and 8. So those are 2 credits that you can get on your property tax bill. The first dollar credit is only applicable to properties that have improvements on them. So if it's a land-only parcel or a personal property parcel, they would not get that first dollar credit, but almost everybody else does. The lottery credit, though, is the one that's only for primary residences. And the first dollar credit is basically automatic. You don't really have to do anything. It's always going to be there. It's just a function of the software. The lottery and gaming credit, however, everybody's going to want to check their bill and make sure that that's on there. And this year in particular, I mean, if you look at this bill, it went from $150 last year to a $217 credit. So that means it's $217 that is taking off of your tax bill because it was your primary residence. And it's not free money, but I like to tell people it's more or less free money to you because it's just a
deduction.
$1 deduction.
Gotta like that. And you do need to fill out for this, correct? If you have not.
Yeah, so if you don't see that on your bill, it is based on your primary residence as of January 1st, 2018. So for all of the new houses that are going up, for example, if it was just a partial and it was not your primary residence as of the first of the year, you are not eligible this year. You might be next year, but it is based on 1/1 of 2018. And it's not something that happens automatically. So especially with all the new builds, we all seen all of the buildings going up, the homes going up these days, those people in particular are going to want to make sure that when it does become their primary residence, they make sure they fill out the form to get that credit.
And good news, on the back of your form, the form we looked at on the last segment here, that's included with your tax bill, it does explain what the lottery piece is there. And also on the website as well, shows you and makes you understand it for people like me who have a hard time understanding everything you talk about, Misty.
There's a lot.
There's a lot. Hey, it's all right. All right, continuing on here then, looking back at, if I could get to the right bill there. Anyway, there it is. Anything else on here that is worth pointing out? Because there's a lot.
There's a lot more boxes still to go through. So box number 9, so kind of the opposite of the credit, this is an extra charge. So we offer trash and brush and recycling pickup to all of our family residence homes up to 4 unit, and the charge for the 2019 service, which is what is on these tax bills, is $162 per unit. So you should be able to see that under that special charge box. Trash PU being trash pickup is what that stands for. And if you have a duplex, it'd be $162 times 2, for example.
Gotcha.
So that's there. And then the only other piece we need to talk about is kind of the payments part is next. So
you do got to make that payment, Misty.
Do,
I mean, come on.
So you can, for most people, you can choose to pay in installments or you can choose to pay it in full. If you pay it in full, you can see the dollar amount there, and that would come to the city of Fitchburg. If you choose to do the installments instead, the first installment would come to the city of Fitchburg, but any payments after February 1st or later would actually go to the county instead. So you're going to want to make sure you send that to the right place so that we have less chance of it getting confused or lost in the mail. And then the county really takes care of collections from there. The other thing I'd like to point out real quick in this section is that if, for whatever reason, the first installment is late, so let's say you paid it just a couple of weeks late, once that happens, you are no longer entitled to installments. So that would mean you're going to want to pay as much of it as you can as soon as you can to avoid interest and penalty rather than waiting until July 31st. Because as soon as you're delinquent, you're not eligible for those installments interest.
So they'll hit you with the one payment, get it done?
To avoid interest and penalty. Yep.
Oof.
And the interest and penalty is 1.5% per month. So
Ah,
if you're
okay.
2 months late, it'd be 3%.
Not
3
good.
months late would be 4.5%.
Not
Yep.
good at all.
Then the last section, actually, there is one more, is the referendums information. So this was new last year as a result of state statute. What this is for school districts in particular, is what we've seen it. It's really eligible for anybody, but school districts is where you see it. If there is a temporary referendum that was approved, we are required to list information on here as far as how much of your specific tax bill went to that referendum. So you'll see this tax bill was in the Verona School District. We had a couple of referendums recently that were temporary, which means they'll fall off in the future. So the first one, this exact property tax bill, $96.85 of it went to the first referendum, and $1,001 went to the second referendum. And then it shows you those will fall off in 2039. So in theory, in 2039, you will see your tax bill go down by that amount.
Pending if there's no other temporary increase for the school district. So
A couple of points on this one too is that it is just temporary one. So if it was something that was an ongoing referendum, that won't show up here. These are just the ones that fall off. And then this year, every single school district has a temporary referendum. So every bill should see something in that section.
fantastic. We made it through.
I lied. I have 13 too.
Hit me with 13. Lucky 13.
Yes. Number 13 is the billing address. So while we cannot change the property tax address, the actual property address, that would have to go through the Dane County Register of Deeds. But if you have a billing address, let's say you live in Wisconsin for the summer, but when tax bills come out, you go down to Florida and you want your tax bill mailed down there instead, we can change that at City Hall. So either send us an email or give us a call, and we can make that change. And the other thing I'd like to point out is even if a property owner doesn't receive a mailed property tax bill, doesn't mean that they get out of paying their property tax bill. All of the property tax bills are available on Access Dane at any time. Starting Monday, I suspect, the website will be updated once all of the Dane County municipalities have completed their
Look at that. It's right here on this handout, too.
Of course it is.
Well, I
There's
like this
lots of
handout.
stuff.
This handout definitely helps explain how things are broken out a little bit. Things we just discussed on the bill, but a little bit easier for you. I do want to throw into a reminder, hearing it from a recent meeting, that too is a good time to pay your dog and cat license too while you're here. So if you want to get that done while you're here, probably a smart move. Save yourself one trip.
On a separate check, though, please.
Exactly.
It's a
These are
separate
two separate entities, so don't upset the finance department like this guy has in the past, okay? Keep that easy. Anything else that we should know going into this year? You got it all?
I think we hit all of the highlights. Again, we're here to help or to answer any questions that people need. Becky's smiling face will be at the counter most of the time. And we just hope to make this as painless of a process as we can.
Fantastic. Well, I think the handouts help, and certainly taking the time to do this, always a pleasure.
Of course. Thank you for having us.
Becky, Misty,
Thank
hope
you.
to have you on sooner than 1 year from now.
Budget
Can we
time.
promise that? Budget time? Oh,
We'll be back
hey, you
budget
promised that last year. All right, anyway, we'll take a quick break, wrap up the show next. It is Talking Fitchburg.